Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. We are on our summer meeting schedule. So for our seasonal summer visitors and residents, we have a 5-member elected Board of Selectmen and a Town Manager who operate the town and do that through our form of government. And the Board of Selectmen meets generally weekly, but in the summer, the board meets twice a month in June, July, and August. So we just had a meeting this week. We don't have a meeting next week. And for our year-round residents, you know what this is all about. So at our meeting this week, we had a couple of announcements. We had a 4th of July follow-up from the police chief and the culture and tourism director. The chief spoke about the public safety issues of 4th of July. We had a number of state police here. We, as everybody knows, we've moved the fireworks from the 4th to the 3rd. This is, I think, maybe the 2nd or 3rd year in a row we've done that. And we're going to talk about whether or not we're going to do it again next year. There seems to be a mix of people who like and don't like that. I had some people who said they liked it this year because the fireworks were on Monday night and everybody had Tuesday off. Whereas if we had done the fireworks on the 4th, Tuesday, everybody has to go to work the next day. So, I don't know. And other people said, well, they had a hard time getting there because they had to work Monday. Some people like it, some people don't. That's just life.
So we haven't made a decision on what
So we haven't made a decision on that for next year. The chief is advocating that we need at least another year of the 3rd because the 4th is the day when the big party activity happens. And that's when the police need to really focus on that. We don't want to revert back, slide back into the party that we had 2 years ago, that situation. Okay, so we had that, and culture and tourism just gave an update about the fireworks and the Main Street activities and all the other things that were going on the 4th. And we are really trying to ban water balloons on Main Street during the water fight. All right, so we've had some inquiry about this, and there's maybe some rumors floating around. We're going to do better public outreach about this in more advance next year. But the issue is this. The water balloons do a couple of bad things. Number one, they smash onto the ground and then the remnants are left there. Someone has to pick those up, and it's not easy. There's hundreds of them. It takes hours after the festivities are over to go and pick them up. And some of them migrate into the storm drains and go out into the harbor. So we don't want that. We did place filters in the storm drains this year to prevent that, but there's always some that escape it, okay? So we don't want the littering. And what's happening now is it's one thing for a couple of little kids, little kids to throw water balloons at each other, but now we're seeing people bringing in crates of water balloons and putting them in like water balloon launchers and launching them around at the crowd. Now, it's indiscriminate. The elderly get affected, small babies and children are affected, moms holding babies. That is not what this is about, no. Okay? So we are trying to prevent that. Water guns, squirt guns, we're not talking about banning those, but we're going to keep an eye on it because, again, that's escalated a bit. It's one thing for some kids to shoot each other with water pistols, little plastic water pistols, even a super soaker. But we're seeing bigger artillery coming in.
I think it's because the fire engines both have such high velocity water
they do.
That
now,
the kids want to be involved with more of that.
Well, and it's fine for them to involve each other, but not the crowds. People are getting injured.
Yeah,
there have been some reported injuries, not major, knock on wood, but we got to keep it, low it down. What's it called? Low it down.
Calm it down.
Calm it down. De-escalate, because it's getting a little out of hand. And we had reports of some of the people on the 2nd floor of the buildings on Main Street are firing stuff down.
Huh? Wow.
Please don't do that. You know what? If it's your friend, okay, haha, maybe that's funny. But just people who are there to enjoy the water fight, yes, you're going to get wet if you're on Main Street because of the water fight. You don't need to get a water balloon fired at your face or your child or, your elderly grandparents. Just,
How Have a little
respect.
respect for
So that's just that. Okay, back to, I'll get off the soapbox about that now. Back to our regular meeting. We had two large contracts approved this week. The paving bid was approved. That's a very large annual contract. So we had a whole bunch of contracts. I don't know why we called that one out because it was a large money amount. The other one we called out was the Nantucket Harbor Shimo plus sewer extension project. That is a $12 million construction contract. So we had our engineer in to go over that contract and go over the construction schedule, things like that.
And some people had some concern over why the price was so low compared to Mattocket, right?
Well, there was that, but but the more focus was we had two bidders for this project, and the difference between the bids was significant. So the engineer was explaining that, and we are about to have our third or fourth neighborhood meeting in the next couple of weeks with the Shimo neighborhood. We've met with the other neighborhoods to answer specific questions about the project and when it starts and how it's going to affect them and that sort of thing. Okay, we also had a couple of noise bylaw waiver requests. Okay, we had a discussion about the Nantucket Prime Entertainment license, and this stems from a television set that they have on their patio, which they are allowed to have through their entertainment license. However, it's offensive to some people, specifically that it faces the street. So to make a rather long story short, they have pretty well agreed, I would say, they've replaced the television with a smaller TV. They've turned it a bit, angled it differently, and they've put some screening up. And there was a bit of a complaint about the volume, so they've I think agreed they will try to keep the volume down. And at some point, hopefully sometime this fall, the board, I think, is going to be potentially reviewing entertainment license conditions specific to noise, hours, and types of entertainment allowed, like televisions. So that's coming, but it was a little felt that modifying the entertainment license for this group, because they have an outdoor TV, was maybe not appropriate at this point, because there are other establishments that have TVs as well. Not all of them are outside, but a lot of them are visible from the street. So the more you dig into this, the more issues seem to pop up. We also reviewed the special town meeting that we are going to be having on November 6th. Specific to the reason for the meeting is retail marijuana sales. And the referendum that was passed in Massachusetts last November that allows municipalities in Massachusetts to license retail marijuana establishments. So this is very controversial, and there is a lot of activity continuing at the legislative level about this. The law is still being tweaked. It is not final yet. It is unclear at this point specifically what authority municipalities will have over the regulations, over the regulatory environment for these establishments. Some towns have already enacted a ban, which is allowed through a town meeting vote and an election vote. Some towns have enacted a moratorium, which is a temporary ban until they have, I guess, figured out more about where they might want the establishments and what rules and regulations they might want to impose. We, the town of Nantucket, has not yet decided what article or articles are going to be put forward exactly at the special town meeting. I think the board wishes to have some additional public discussion about that, whether a ban, a moratorium, a zoning bylaw which limits where the establishments would be. I think everybody generally agreed that, at least at the Board of Selectmen's level, no one is interested in opting in to a provision of the law that allows you to have marijuana cafes. So that, I don't think, is going to be
Well, that's
putting...
not up to that's up to the town meeting anyway, isn't it? And up to,
it
you
is.
mentioned that the state hasn't finished,
They have not finished.
so don't we have to wait until we know exactly what?
Well, yes and no.
How can
we
towns
are
go
gonna-
ahead and ban?
Some towns have done it already. I'm
But
just
if
saying.
the state says you can't do that, then
No,
they can't.
I don't think the state is going to say that. Right now in the law, towns are allowed to enact a ban with the town meeting vote and with an election vote. That is allowed, and some towns have done that. There are many articles on this. There's a lot of written material about it. So more to come on this. There's not, there's a lot of discussion about it.
Well,
So we're just going to have to play this out, I
and this
think.
town meeting is gonna be the big vote for us to decide, right? I mean,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna have
be-
a special town meeting
We're going to be
about it.
deciding something, and there's going to be a special town meeting on November 6th about it. What exactly we are going to be deciding on has not yet been decided, because the law is not
Yes,
yet
exactly.
complete. So one thing hinges on another. So we're going to certainly have more discussion about that. So those were the things we did at the board meeting. The next meeting is on July 19th, and I think we're going to have a pretty big agenda at that meeting. And Gino, I want to mention something for the public to please be aware of, and it has to do with trash. The trash cans in town, the standalones, around the downtown and other areas, and at the beaches, we have some solar compacting trash cans at some of the beaches. Those are not for your personal household trash. It is not illegal to put your personal household trash in those containers, but we are talking internally about whether or not we should propose a regulation that prohibits that, because it has become such a problem. So for example, and I've seen this, maybe you've seen it, Gino, I'm sure other people have seen it. We have a couple of videos that have been sent to us from people shoving their household trash into the solar compacting trash cans, say at Surfside Beach. Some people have tried to stuff rugs in there. I mean, big household. It causes the solar trash cans from time to time, depending on the item that you're trying to push in there, to malfunction, and then it can't accept trash at all. Or it fills it up very, very quickly early in the morning, so now nobody can use it anymore. Until DPW comes back. They empty the trash cans early in the morning. They go back later in the afternoon, but by 10 a.m., if they're full, don't put your household trash in there, because you are having a very negative impact on the rest of the island. Not the rest of the island, but that location, because nobody can use that trash can then. I've seen it several times right here in the corner of the town building. People just stop their cars or come out from different various locations and stuff their household trash in there. Pizza boxes too. You put a pizza box in a trash can, it's done. You can't shove anything else in there after that. And then the trash overflows. So,
But a pizza box is something that people will take to the beach, or,
well, sometimes, I don't know if there's a good thing.
Household is one thing, but
Your
sometimes-
pizza box, you're going to have to break it down
Yeah.
a bit to get it in the trash can,
Right.
So we're just asking, please be cognizant of this, and please do not put your household trash in these trash cans. That's why there is a very active landfill transfer station area that is open way more than transfer stations elsewhere. Saturday and Sunday, it's open. During the week, it's open. Please put your trash out there. It's not 100 miles away. It's pretty close. I get it that there's renters that have to leave early in the morning. And so, if you have a rental property, I'm just going to be blunt about this. Figure it out.
Yeah. All right.
I don't want to sound like a jerk about this. Please, I hope I don't.
I've got something
But
to ask you about,
it's
too.
problematic.
Here it is, July. July and August are the busiest months. Why is a house on India Street that has been on stilts still being worked on and the street closed? Because they want to continue to work on that house. Isn't there regulations about that?
No.
There is not.
There are no
They can
regulations
close the
about
street
that.
if they want to.
Well, they have to come to our office and various other departments to get approval. But if they're in the middle of the job, and that's a very difficult job, that particular one you're talking
Yeah.
about, because the street is so narrow and the house is right there. People
Can't
have
they
to.
just come back after, Labor Day?
Well, I'm sure they could, but I'm going to guess that there is so much construction going on right now that people are on schedules have to be modified. We don't have a rule against it. So
just a tough street
it's a
in
tough
July
street.
to
Yeah, I've
walk.
run into it myself. People are driving all over the sidewalk there because of it. Not that they weren't already driving on the sidewalk because of other things, but it's, I don't know what to say about it. It's allowed.
It's allowed, okay.
Yeah. The only time we do get some complaints from time to time, or inquiries around now in June about, people do sometimes tend to be under the impression that there's some kind of construction ban
Yeah,
in certain areas of the
yeah,
island.
right.
There is not.
No.
There is a noise bylaw that limits noise to certain hours, which differs between certain dates. And I don't have that right on the top of my head right now. It's in the town code, which is easily found online. Noise bylaw, town code. Go to that on the town website, nantucket-ma.gov. But there's, unless you have a special permit from the planning board or the zoning board of appeals, which would probably be more for a commercial project, which might limit those types of hours. For example, across the street here at Graydon House, there was a zoning board of appeals restriction on when they could have outside noise and outside construction activities. I'm going to be blunt about this. They didn't pay that much attention to it, always. But they did have those restrictions and conditions on there. But that's not totally usual. So,
Okay, good enough.
yeah. All right, so I guess that's it. It's raining.
Not bad, you know, it's
But
kinda
that's
nice.
okay. I'm okay with that today.
Yeah, a little rain.
Because
nice.
we could use a little rain. I don't have to water my plants today.
There you go.
Thanks very much. See you next time.